Who's that?
What a way to start off.
My computer got the notification.
Gee, I wonder what the notification was.
That's
Anyway,
why I have mine turned off.
hello,
All
race
right.
fans, and welcome to the Smoke Show, episode 13, season 2. And the first topic of discussion is by far, the greatest race in all of motorsports so far this year, the French Grand Prix. God, this race is so good, dude. So much competition. Like the calls made by the FIA were very consistent and fair. Just what can you say more about this race? Obviously, I'm being sarcastic. It was not a good race. Surprise, surprise, Lewis Hamilton got his sixth win of the season now. Mercedes gets another one too. And it's just same story, different chapter. So, Orclop, I want to start with you. What was your thoughts on the F1 race?
Well, I'm honestly quite surprised that the first topic wasn't my computer getting a notification the instant the live stream went live. That was a doozy and a half. I didn't really get to watch the F1 broadcast. The thing was a common factor all three races this weekend. I overslept and slept through everything because Mr. Noonan stayed up for the 24 hours in the Nürburgring, which was a decently good race. But I missed everything on Sunday. But I woke up and I found out about the penalty, and let me tell you, all these problems can be solved with just one thing: put grass in places where the racetrack isn't the racetrack. You want to talk about track limits, pushing people off the circuit, leaving the circuit and rejoining the circuit. What is the racetrack? Exactly. And I can't believe I am asking myself that question. You look at Circuit Paul Ricard, it is literally the worst designed racetrack I've ever seen in my entire life. And that is because of the different combinations of racetracks you can use. It's an eyesore to look at. And two, you can't tell where's the racetrack because everything is paved over.
I know.
It used to be such a beautiful racetrack. I mean, if you look at old photos of Paul Ricard when it was like a test track, or in the old days when it was all grass, you could at least tell what the track looked like, and it looked relatively decent. But nowadays, oh God, God Almighty, it's horrible. I remember when WC tested there, and I almost went blind looking at those photos because I couldn't tell where the racetrack was. It was terrible.
Yeah, that's the French Grand Prix. I should have honestly skipped it, and I didn't watch Nürburgring to begin with because I was just wiped after Le Mans, so I decided to skip out on Nürburgring. But I did end up watching some parts of the race. It looked fairly good, and I also saw the finish. But again, as for the French Grand Prix. It's one of those races where you just want to jump in your bed and sleep through it and pretend Hamilton didn't win. I don't know, man. I just think the French Grand Prix kind of summed up the entire F1 season as a whole. It's just been described by Mercedes, win again. And I can't. And also, regarding the Daniel Ricciardo penalty, I don't know what FIA's goal is. Are they trying to make sure where the track limits are, like you said? They need to put grass or at least like maybe a sand trap somewhere. You could say they need to put sand or grass there so the drivers know where to go and what the circuit layout is. And even it's so I don't know. Paul Ricard, it's a relatively easy track to pass at. But I feel like it's one of those tracks where like it's like certain constructors slash manufacturers, certain teams set it up in certain ways in order to gain an advantage over the others, which is what you saw with Mercedes. Well, that was at least until Charles Leclerc caught Valtteri Bottas at the end. But the race overall was boring. Hamilton led the entire race from lap one. There was absolutely no competition, not even with the two Mercedes battling each other. It was a downright awful race. I never thought I would say this, but Monaco was genuinely better than this race. Because at least with Monaco, there was a goal, and Max Verstappen was challenging Lewis Hamilton the entire time. Whereas in the French Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton blew the competition out of the water. And once again, Ferrari does not seem like they give a flying fuck about succeeding anymore, seeing as how they probably told Leclerc to slow up for Vettel and then tell him to go at the last lap, which is why he kind of charged towards Valtteri Bottas at the end. So I don't get Ferrari's logic, but that's been a common theme throughout the entire season. And then regarding the Daniel Ricciardo penalty, that was fucking ridiculous. He penalized himself. As soon as he touched the curb, he slowed down and let two cars pass him, and then just get penalized by the FIA. It's ridiculous. It seems like ever since Charlie Whiting died, the FIA doesn't know how to manage the on-track product, and that's something that could kill F1 in the future. And this Grand Prix just kind of summed up this season in a nutshell. It was terrible.
Pretty much, you said everything great right there. I did not watch this race because I was pretty much sleeping throughout this whole entire race. And then when I wake up, I check Twitter. I see Lewis Hamilton won. Daniel Ricciardo got a penalty. So just the one thing I have to say is, I'm not surprised by anything. Congratulations. But not taking words from Kyle Busch from 2017 from the 600. Yeah, I mean, this race was just so terrible. Even in the highlights video, I mean, the only highlight of the race was a pit stop by Hamilton, and pretty much what else? Oh yeah, the Ricciardo penalty and stuff like that. And going back to the Paul Ricard circuit, I mean, okay, we get it. We're in France. It's the track is painted blue, white, and red. It's literally around the whole track. And I remember one of the F1 team I think principals, Gunther Steiner, complained about how the track is literally painted all over and stuff like that. I mean, there are I have no idea why why they decided to paint it. I mean, obviously they probably think that everyone's stupid and they want to think, remember guys, we're in France. We're in France. Le Mans was last weekend before this. Or was it a couple weeks ago? I'm not even so
It
sure.
was a week before this, but I think the F1 would be pretty decent at Circuit de la Sarthe.
Actually, rather with them racing at that track.
Maybe the Bugatti circuit would be an option. The shorter circuit.
Yeah, but I mean, still, I mean, we need to put like grass or like runoff areas on that track, but I don't feel like they're gonna do that. And plus, I would just not race at Paul Ricard circuit and just race at the other ones that you just mentioned off. And I mean, actually, something else. As a matter of fact, I was actually considering not watching F1 after the German, after the Canadian Grand Prix, because I'm just so tired with these calls and just, I mean, the Canadian Grand Prix. I mean, we didn't talk about this because we didn't have a podcast, but it was it was gonna be the best race of the season, and the FIA simply ruined it. Just terrible, just absolutely terrible. And then this race, like you said, pretty much sums up, the entire F1 season. It's just Mercedes all over again, and stuff like that. But at least like within 2015, where Mercedes almost won every single race except for 3 races, and I was actually thinking about this. You had races where Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, they were going hard for the race win. Like, for example, which in 2014 Bahrain, they were going at it for the win. They weren't giving up an inch and stuff like that. And in the end, I think Lewis Hamilton ended up as the winner, but they were fighting for those last few couple of laps. And it was honestly, pretty good. Now, like, if you get this, you can, like, okay, if Lewis Hamilton were to win every single race, but if there was a good battle at the end between him or Sebastian Vettel, then I would be pretty good with that. Hard racing. But no, the FIA, they don't like hard racing. it's pretty much simple. I mean, it's either that one, they think that if these F1 cars touch by just slightly by an inch, which we've seen F1 cars hit themselves in the tires, and they don't really like get damaged that easily. But well, most of the time it would be, but not all the time. I mean, it's just in my mind that the FIA think that that if there's hard racing going on the track, someone's gonna die. That's just what I think, and just I don't know. I mean, it may just going a bit too far, but it's honestly what I think. So I mean, just yeah, and the penalty about Ricardo. He was racing a lot of guys hard at the end, and like I said before, FIA they don't like hard racing, so they just penalized him for that too. And then I mean, I don't know what else to say about it other than I mean, we're going off to Red Bull's home track, so one of you Red Bull guys better win it. So yeah, and if you guys didn't know, Red Bull was made in Austria, so yeah.
Oh yeah, that the big cheese over there is from Austria, and then the company's headquarters are there. So that's gonna be a lot of Red Bull action coming, and a lot of Max Verstappen fans there too. I mean, if you're not wearing Red Bull gear at Austria, chances are you're probably not welcome there.
Yeah. If honestly were to go to that track, I'll probably wear a whole bunch of Red Bull hat, like Red Bull gear, and plus Max Verstappen I think won that race last year, so he's got a good chance, and plus that's the one
Yeah.
race last year where Lewis Hamilton got one DNF, so hopefully history can repeat itself, or maybe history can somewhat alter it itself, but I don't know.
We
I
can
mean,
only hope, but I'm sure there's honestly the way this F1 season is going, and after the Sebastian Vettel penalty, I have no hope. I don't think we're gonna see even Ferrari win a race. I don't have hope. Sure, Red Bull this is their home track and they'll be good, but Gasly, will be running ninth the entire time, and then Verstappen will probably at least get a podium, like third or second, but it's probably end up gonna still be a Mercedes because they've been so good. I mean, you look at Bahrain. I mean, Ferrari was so dominant there, and they still managed to lose to Mercedes. So I
yeah.
don't have hope at all. I've lost total hope with this F1 season. Sure, Red Bull will be very competitive, but I just don't see them doing it. It's Mercedes. They find a way. Toto Wolff just keeps stroking that ego, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. So
I mean,
this F1 season's been very disappointing.
yeah, just from going from the off season, I was kind of expecting it maybe like okay, maybe there's somewhat hope that this isn't going to be